The murder of Madison Mogen, how do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
For the murder of Kaylee Gonsalves, how do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
The murder of Xana Kernodle, a human being, how do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
The murder of Ethan Chapin, a human being, how do you plead guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
July 23, 2025. A courtroom falls deadly silent as a judge delivers a verdict that will seal a man's fate forever. Not death, but something many consider far more torturous. Life imprisonment, no parole, no escape, no end in sight.
Up with anything redeeming about Mr. Kohberger because his grotesque acts of evil have buried and hidden anything that might have been good or intrinsically human about him. His actions have made him the worst of the worst. Even in pleading guilty, he is giving nothing hinting of remorse or redemption, nothing suggesting even a recognition or understanding, let alone regret for the pain that he has caused. And therefore, I will not attempt to speak about him further, other than to simply sentence him so that he is forever removed from civilized society.
Bryan Kohberger, accused in the brutal deaths of 4 University of Idaho students, stepped into a reality far more chilling than the courtroom itself. What waited for him inside Idaho's highest security facility wasn't freedom. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't even peace. It was a life stripped down to isolation, silence, and absolute control. By the end of this video, you'll understand why existence behind those walls may be more terrifying than death itself. Stay with me until the very end, and once you've heard the full story, tell us in the comments if you agree. Because just hours after his arrival, Kohberger made his very first complaint, and that single moment revealed a disturbing glimpse into what his new life would truly become. Before we go any further, let's take a moment to remember the 4 innocent lives stolen in this tragedy: Kaylee Gonsalves, Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin. If you're watching this, please type Amen in the comments to honor their memory. And let us know where you're watching from. I want to know this community spans the globe in seeking truth and justice. My name is True Crime Footnotes, and I'm an unsolved case analyst. What drives me to do this work isn't just curiosity, it's personal. Growing up, I lost both my parents to a violent crime that remains unsolved to this day. They never got their justice. Their case sits in a file somewhere, gathering dust, while their killer walks free. That pain, that emptiness, it's what fuels my mission. Every case I investigate, every story I tell, is for victims like my parents who deserve answers. If that resonates with you, type Amen to my parents in the comments below. Now, let me be transparent with you. This work is exhausting. The information you're about to hear didn't come easy. I travel city to city, digging through prison records that cost me money I don't always have. I pore over court documents late into the night. There are moments, honestly many moments, when I feel like giving up. But I won't. Because these victims deserve a voice, and these stories deserve to be told. So if you appreciate the depth of research that goes into every video, hit that subscribe button and join our community of truth seekers. Let's get justice together. Bryan Kohberger, a name that sent shockwaves across America. Convicted of brutally ending 4 young lives at the University of Idaho, he now faces a reality some experts argue is more punishing than execution itself. Within hours of his sentencing, the world got its first glimpse into what his new existence would entail, and it was just the beginning of an unending nightmare. On the evening of July 23rd, Kohberger was transported to the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, located just south of Boise. This isn't your typical correctional facility. It's the only maximum security prison in Idaho, housing the state's most dangerous and closely monitored inmates, including death row prisoners. For security reasons, Kohberger was assigned to I-Block, a long-term segregation unit holding approximately 30 inmates. What makes this unit particularly significant? Who his neighbors are. Kohberger's cell block includes some of Idaho's most notorious criminals, individuals convicted of heinous crimes that shocked the state. Among them is Chad Daybell, whose case became one of the most disturbing in Idaho's history. These are men who've already accepted their fate. Kohberger hasn't. Life in I-Block operates on a rigid structure. Kohberger spends roughly 23 hours each day confined to a single cell. He gets 1 hour, just 60 minutes, for outdoor recreation. Every time he leaves his cell, he's placed in restraints. Showers are permitted every other day. His entire world has shrunk to a small concrete box. But here's what's truly breaking him. It's not the physical confinement. It's the psychological warfare of isolation and the mental strain of adapting to a system he once studied from an academic distance. During his initial week, Kohberger was held in a transition unit while officials assessed his situation and determined his permanent placement. Even in this brief period, warning signs emerged that he was ill-prepared for the harsh realities of prison life. Just 4 days after arrival, he filed his first formal grievance. Not about safety concerns or mistreatment, but about something far more mundane. He couldn't access the prison's electronic payment system, known as JPay, to order items from the commissary. A correctional officer explained that adjustment takes time following a transfer. For Kohberger, this was his first real wake-up call, a stark reminder that within these walls, he wasn't a scholar or criminology student anymore. He was simply inmate number, learning to navigate a system from the inside rather than analyzing it from the outside. As days turned into weeks, the full weight of his situation began to crystallize. Now, I want you to stay with me because what happens next reveals just how quickly prison breaks even the most analytical minds. But first, are you getting value from this deep dive? This is the kind of detailed investigation you won't find anywhere else. Consider subscribing to True Crime Footnotes so you never miss these in-depth analyses. On July 29, 2025, Bryan Kohberger was moved to his permanent cell on the second floor of I Block, designated as I-2. His first 2 nights passed relatively quietly. Then came July 30th, when he filed his first major complaint. And this is where things took a disturbing turn. Through the air vents, he began hearing constant voices. Screaming. Provocations from other inmates. Unlike the relative quiet of his initial cell, these sounds never ceased. They echoed day and night, an inescapable cacophony that followed him into every corner of his existence. Kohberger later described it as continuous verbal harassment. Every hour of every day, he reported, someone was shouting something through the ventilation system. A constant reminder that even in isolation, he was never truly alone. Chris McDonough, a retired detective and founder of the Cold Case Foundation who's familiar with conditions inside such units, explained, I don't think Bryan Kohberger anticipated the psychological pressure he'd face from other inmates. As soon as he arrived, it began, and he started filing complaints. But the difficult part for prison staff is there's not much they can do. A correctional officer confirmed hearing inmates yelling toward Kohberger's cell during that time. However, since they couldn't pinpoint exactly who was responsible, the complaint was documented but no formal action was taken. It quickly became clear that inmates had discovered a method to get under his skin, using the shared ventilation system to make their presence known while avoiding individual accountability. The tension inside I Block was only escalating. That same day, Kohberger also reported that certain inmates were deliberately causing disruptions by flooding their cells. This wasn't random misconduct. It was a calculated tactic to draw attention and create chaos within the unit. Kohberger requested a transfer to a quieter section of the facility, citing the constant disturbances and stressful environment. But staff denied his request, stating that I Block was generally a calm and controlled area, and advised him to give it more time. For someone already struggling to adapt, that response only amplified his sense of helplessness. According to forensic psychologist Dr. Joni Johnston, individuals like Kohberger, who are accustomed to structure, control, and analysis, often find the unpredictability of prison life particularly oppressive. In his case, isolation didn't bring peace. It brought pressure. And with each grievance he filed, the tension inside I Block continued mounting. The following day, July 31st, Kohberger submitted a formal complaint about his meals. On multiple occasions, I have not received all items on my tray, he wrote, requesting that missing food be replaced according to regulations. Kohberger follows a strict vegan diet, and while the Idaho Department of Correction provides vegan options, he claimed his trays were sometimes incomplete. Nutritional standards aren't being met if I don't receive my full tray, he stated. For someone accustomed to control and precision, These small breakdowns in structure clearly bothered him. And to outside observers, they painted a picture of a man struggling with the loss of even the smallest freedoms. Experts immediately weighed in on Kohberger's behavior. Paul Morrow, a retired NYPD inspector, observed, "From what's been reported, Kohberger appears to be overly focused on minor grievances. This doesn't suggest he's adapting well to prison life." Kit Rover, a former prison chaplain and host of the Lighter Side of True Crime podcast, added, "Inmates quickly learn who handles pressure and who doesn't. Complaining too much can make things harder on the inside." And here's the critical point. Every grievance, every complaint was sending a message to other inmates. In a place where silence can signify strength, Kohberger's words were only making his time behind bars more difficult. Think about that for a moment. A man who studied criminal psychology is now the subject of psychological games he can't control. The irony is haunting, isn't it? If you're still watching, you're part of a community that cares about understanding the full story, not just the headlines. We're building something special here at True Crime Footnotes. On August 12, 2025, 3 weeks after his conviction, the Idaho Department of Correction held a housing classification hearing for Bryan Kohberger. After multiple incidents within I-Block, he formally requested transfer to protective custody. During the hearing, something unexpected occurred. Kohberger displayed a rare moment of self-awareness. He acknowledged that the tension and discomfort he was experiencing would likely diminish once public attention on his case subsided. But his subsequent statements revealed just how difficult life behind bars had become. He requested to continue having recreation time alone and to be escorted individually for safety reasons. At the same time, however, he expressed a desire to work and find ways to be productive during his incarceration. Perhaps most telling was his request for the same recreational privileges as another high-profile inmate in the same unit, showing that even in isolation he was carefully observing how others were being treated. After deliberation, the 3-member Housing Classification Committee reached a decision. Kohberger would remain in administrative segregation, the same restrictive environment where he already was. They determined it was the safest option for staff, other inmates, and Kohberger himself. A department spokesperson later explained, "Inmates frequently communicate with each other in prison settings. Bryan Kohberger is housed alone in a cell, and IDOC staff maintains a safe and secure environment for everyone in custody." In other words, occasional noise and interactions between inmates are simply part of the environment, not something that can be easily eliminated. But for Kohberger, accepting that reality was proving extremely difficult. By this point, he'd filed 5 formal grievances in just 3 weeks, nearly one every few days. Prison consultant Cameron Lindsay later told media outlets that Kohberger's housing situation was unlikely to change anytime soon. "My prediction is he'll remain where he is," Lindsay stated. "He's currently in a secure environment that protects both him and others." Lindsay also noted that quietly adapting to prison routines often helps reduce tension over time, advice that Kohberger seemed unable to follow. Each new complaint or transfer request drew more attention, not less. And inside I-Block, that attention didn't go unnoticed. The more Kohberger reacted, the more his fellow inmates realized how much the environment was affecting him. And the atmosphere around him grew increasingly tense. By mid-August, Kohberger's life inside I-Block had become a cycle of monotony, long stretches of silence interrupted only by frustration and routine. That week, he filed yet another complaint, this time about lack of supplies. Staff reminded him that requests were processed once weekly. It was a minor issue, but for someone accustomed to control and precision, it carried weight. Inside prison, every small inconvenience becomes magnified. For Kohberger, this was what his existence had been reduced to: forms, schedules, and waiting. Filing complaints was no longer just about resolving problems. It was about clinging to some semblance of control in a world where he had none. A few days later, on August 18th, he sent a note thanking a sergeant for helping him resolve issues with the commissary kiosk. His JPay account problems were finally resolved. For a man who once analyzed criminal behavior academically, this counted as progress. Expressing gratitude for the resolution of digital access bureaucracy showed just how far removed he was from the academic precision of his former life. Every small victory had become a way to maintain sanity. Every delay, a reminder that time in this place moved differently, slowly, heavily, endlessly. Then something unexpected happened. In mid-August, reports surfaced online claiming that brief video clips of Kohberger in his cell had been posted on social media. The Idaho Department of Correction launched an internal investigation, warning staff that any recording or distribution of security footage would result in serious consequences. Whether the footage was authentic or not didn't matter. The mere rumor was enough to remind everyone that privacy, even here, was an illusion. News outlets covered the story for days, and inside iBlock, inmates whispered about it. Kohberger couldn't escape attention, not even behind concrete and steel. Defense attorney and Taylor publicly condemned the alleged leak, reminding the public that the judicial process should never devolve into spectacle. But the truth was unavoidable. For Bryan Kohberger, the spectacle never ended. The outside world still wanted to watch him, peering through the cracks of his isolation. And within those walls, that awareness did nothing but intensify the pressure of a world closing in around him. You need to understand what the Idaho Maximum Security Institution truly is. It's not just a prison, it's a fortress built for control. Every hallway, every door, every movement is monitored. Chairs and tables are bolted down. Even outdoor recreation yards are concrete enclosed cages. Here, structure isn't a choice, it's the very air everyone breathes. iBlock, where Kohberger resides, ranks among the most restrictive units in the entire state. Many of Idaho's most dangerous inmates, including those on death row, are housed there. Kohberger's neighbors are men who've already reached the end of the line. He's facing the same type of sentence, only without an execution date. Every sound in that place, every echo through the air vents, reminds him he's surrounded by people who will never leave. The difference? They've accepted it. He hasn't. During sentencing, Kaylee Goncalves' mother looked directly at him and said, "May you continue living your life in misery. You are officially owned by the state of Idaho." That statement marked the end of everything. Because now, every second of his life belongs to the system. A slow-motion punishment that never stops ticking. So why is Bryan Kohberger's life in prison considered worse than death? Let's break it down. First, there's the question of time. If Kohberger had received the death penalty, he would have faced years on death row, knowing that one day, however distant, there would be an end. But now he confronts something entirely different. A lifetime inside Idaho's most restrictive facility. Decades, possibly half a century, of the same routine, the same walls, the same silence. 50 years of isolation. Limited human contact. Infinite repetition. Death, in a sense, is final. But what Kohberger is experiencing is ongoing. A slow mental erosion that comes from monotony and loneliness. Every day brings fresh frustrations, small reminders of just how narrow his world has become. Every voice echoing through the air vents reminds him that no part of this experience is truly private or peaceful. Inside the Idaho Maximum Security Institution, nearly every decision is made for him. When to shower, when to eat, when to exit his cell. Everything is dictated by a schedule. Even small things like commissary orders or video calls depend on approval. His life is structured down to the minute, with virtually no personal autonomy. The same concrete walls, the same metal fixtures, the same rigid routine day after day. Research demonstrates that prolonged isolation can trigger disorientation, anxiety, and depression. And Kohberger's situation isn't short-term. This is how his life will continue year after year, with no variation. He knows this. No parole to pursue. No fresh start. No way out except through time itself. Every morning, he wakes to the same silence. Every night, he goes to sleep knowing tomorrow will be exactly the same. This awareness, this certainty of permanence, may be the hardest part of all. During his sentencing, the victims' families made clear they wanted justice and hoped he would live with the weight of his actions. It appears that reality has arrived. Kohberger's punishment isn't dramatic or violent. It's quiet, unchanging, and deeply psychological. The voices through the ventilation ducts still echo. The screaming continues. The days blend into one another in an endless cycle of sameness. This is Bryan Kohberger's reality now. This is his sentence. This is his forever. And unlike death, there's no escape, only time. If you found this deep dive into Bryan Kohberger's prison life as unsettling as I did researching it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to True Crime Footnotes for more true crime investigations that go beyond the surface. Tell me in the comments, do you believe life in isolation is a harsher punishment than the death penalty? I genuinely want to hear your thoughts. Remember those 4 beautiful souls: Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan. Type amen one more time for them. And if you haven't already, let me know where you're watching from. This community is global, and I love seeing where you all are. This is the work I do. It's difficult. It's draining. Sometimes I question whether I can keep going. But then I remember my parents. I remember every victim who deserves their story told with accuracy and respect. I'll see you in the next investigation. Stay safe out there.